Hello everyone, and welcome back to another brand new video. So this is a video I've been wanting to make for a while, but I just really never sat down and took the time to record it because of so much other stuff I'm working on, my rewrite series, and of course everything with Pokemon Horizons. I really just didn't have time to make this video, and also of course Scarlet and Violet. So I really just hadn't had time to make this video, but I think it's long overdue for me to finally start talking about Pokemon Adventures, the manga series, because I actually really like this series. I've been reading it for years, and I've been just wanting to talk about it for so long, but it's just been it's not been the top priority because of everything else I've been working on. But I really want to take the time now to make some videos about it. At least this one right now. I'm probably going to make a few other shorter videos later, but for right now, I just want to make this one video just talking about what I like about Pokemon Adventures, and especially what I like more about it compared to the Pokemon anime, the original anime at least, not Horizons, the one before it, with Ash and everything that went on for 26 years. And the reason I want to do this is because, well, first of all, I don't know if you guys are aware, depending on your ages, you might know that back in the day, it was like really big to be like, you know, comparing Pokemon Adventures to the Pokemon anime and just, you know, saying how, oh, the anime is so terrible, the anime sucks, Ash is a loser, Ash never wins, Adventures is so much cooler, Red is amazing, Red is so much better, and basically just pitting Ash and Red against each other, and only Ash and Red really, like the other characters they really didn't talk about all too much. But yeah, long story short, it was just really cool to bash on the anime back then, because I mean, it did make sense, you know, Ash really was just in a constant, repetitive, just loop of nothingness back then, so it made sense that everyone was just kind of hating on him. But yeah, that's basically what was going on. So I really wanted to talk today. I wasn't doing this kind of thing. I wasn't bashing the anime, but I was really talking about how much I liked Adventures. So I want to talk about that now, especially since Adventures is still going strong, at least for now. We don't know if it'll ever, you know, stop or anything, but for right now, Adventures is still going. And I was thinking about, you know, there are a lot of people out there who've never read Adventures or any Pokemon manga series for that matter, and maybe they want to get into it, or maybe they don't know if they should, maybe they're just not too sure what to expect. And I wanted to make a video at least just giving some things that I personally like about the series, just to let some people maybe who are on the outside looking in, who don't know if they want to look into it, if they might want to try it out. So that's what this video is going to be, and for the entirety of this video, I'm just going to call Pokemon Adventures just for simplicity's sake. And whenever I talk about the Pokemon anime, I'm pretty much going to be only referring to the anime, you know, before Horizons, all the series before Horizons, everything before Liko and Roy came on the scene. So yeah. So let's get into this video. So the main reason why I like Pokemon Adventures over the Pokemon anime is for some major reasons. The big ones being, one, the character progression. In Adventures, we get new characters every single generation, just like with the Pokemon games. A new protagonist every single time. We don't just sit around with Red for the entirety of the series, going from region to region to region, doing the exact same thing. No, we get new characters every single time. And that to me is just so amazing. I don't know why the Pokemon anime did not do that years ago, and why only just now, after 26 years, they finally gave us new protagonists with Liko and Roy. This should have been done years ago. I will stand by my opinion that Ash really should have left at Johto. Like, Ash should not have continued on during Johto. I don't know why. I mean, I guess they just thought maybe kids would be upset if he left, or they wouldn't be able to do a new series where he is gone. I think that, I don't know, I think it's kind of weird if that was the reasoning, but I don't know, maybe they just wanted to keep him around. But either way, I just think he should have been replaced years ago, and I'm so glad that Adventures did not follow that same pattern, that we got new protagonists every single time, just like the games gave us. So in the original chapters, every single, I guess, saga, we call it the anime saga based on the region, but for the manga series, it's just called chapters. So we have the Red, Blue, and Yellow chapter, we have Gold, Silver, Crystal chapter, so on and so forth. And everything that we'd probably call a chapter is around, you know, when you read actually through the book and you go to a new section, we'd probably think of it as a chapter, but it's really called around. That's the technical term for it. So I'm going to try to use proper terms, but yeah, long story short, I'll probably link something in the description explaining Pokemon Adventures, just so there will be no confusion. But anyway, with each new chapter, each new saga, each new generation, we get new protagonists. The protagonists are pretty much always named after the games. So, for example, the characters based off of Lucas and Dawn are named Diamond and Platinum. The character based off of Barry is called Pearl. The characters based off of Ilio and Celine are Sun and Moon, and so on and so forth. And every single character, well, all of them used to originally just be those names. In recent years, they've kind of shaken that up a bit. For example, Y, who's based off of Serena, her name is Y, but her full name is Yvonne. And she has a last name too, it's Gabbana. And also the characters for Sword and Shield. Sword and Shield are their last names. Their first names are Henry and Casey, respectively. And in most of these sagas, the main character, the primary version, will be the boy main protagonist. But there are exceptions to that. For example, like I said earlier, here's an example. Black 2 and White 2 have different, well, their names are like code names, and they have completely different separate names. I believe their names are, I believe at least White 2's name is Whitley, and the Black 2 character's name is Blake, I believe. And like I said, those are pretty much how the naming scheme is. But again, there are exceptions. Like, for example, like I said, with Diamond and Pearl, Diamond is Lucas, but Pearl is not Dawn. Pearl is Barry, and Platinum is Dawn. So yeah, it kind of varies. And hearing that right off the bat, you're probably thinking, oh, so every single saga, it's the main character is the boy, and the girl is the secondary character, and then the rival, so on and so forth. But actually, no. There are actually series where I believe the girl is actually the main character. For example, a big example of this, I think, is in the Sinnoh saga, Diamond, Pearl, and Platinum. Even though Platinum is named Platinum, she's not even Pearl or Diamond. I think she is actually the main character. Her story, and I'm going to try not to spoil too much here for anyone who wants to check out the series and doesn't want to be spoiled. But long story short, I believe Platinum does have the major role in this story. She has this whole big mystery behind her, and Diamond and Pearl are pretty much kind of just, I'm not going to say like her lackeys, but they kind of just follow her around and do whatever she wants to do, because she's really like the main character going through this. Of course, we obviously have focus on Diamond and Pearl, but really Platinum has the biggest story going on. She's battling gyms, she's doing all this other stuff. Whereas Diamond and Pearl, and here's another thing I want to bring up, the personalities of the characters vary so much. Like, Diamond and Pearl are literally comedians, and I'm not joking, they're actually comedians. Their goal is to become these very famous, funny comedians. And you might hear that and think, what? Who wants to read a story about Pokemon and the characters are comedians? What does that have to do with anything? What does that have to do with the story of Diamond, Pearl, and Platinum? But it's really not like a big thing in their personality. They're just funny. Like, that just goes into some gags with them. That doesn't take away from the story. We still have the story of Diamond, Pearl, and Platinum going on with Team Galactic, with the legendaries, and everything happening. So, overall, it's just a funny part of their character. And again, that's why I like the fact that they replace the characters every single new generation, because it's more entertaining, it's more interesting. I personally didn't want to watch Red go through several different stories and chapters for each story going on and on and on. I like that I get a new character to read every single time. And there are some similarities between characters. I will admit that I do think Gold has a lot of similarities to Red, which I think is understandable. I think if Ash was replaced back in JoJo, I think any character following him would have been pretty similar to him. Just to, keep kids liking this character. If they liked Ash, they would like the character who followed behind him if he was similar, which is why I think Gold and Red were pretty similar. But then I think as soon as they continued on for Ruby, Sapphire, and Emerald, they instantly were like, yeah, we need to do something different. And Ruby is so different from Red and Gold. He's like literally he's like basically what a Pokemon anime would call a coordinator. He does Pokemon contests. He only cares about Pokemon for their beauty. He doesn't like battling at all. Whereas his counterpart, Sapphire, she's the one who's really into battling. She's really aggressive. She's really rough. She doesn't like, girly things. And she's just basically the opposite of that. So, again, I think it's so great that we can see that. And again, she's different from the past girls. Yellow was this really shy, quiet girl. And her story was about her growing up and becoming stronger. And she kind of did idolize Red for, again, story reasons that I won't get into to avoid spoilers. But she had her own personality. But Crystal had her own personality. Crystal was really, really determined. She, again, was not like Green or Yellow, in that Green was kind of had this shady, shifty, funny personality. She was kind of like, I don't know how to describe her. I guess she's kind of like a trickster. Whereas Crystal was really more serious. Like, Crystal was really like straight-laced, super serious, down to the point, no nonsense kind of girl. So she has her own personality. Whereas, someone like Sapphire is a bit more fun-loving, kind of mischievous. And again, every single character has their own personality. Then you have someone like Platinum she's really elegant and proper, but at the same time, she is not afraid to get her hands dirty. She is ready to go into action, and she'll do what she needs to do to get stuff done. So they all have their own great personalities. Sun, I love Sun so much. Sun and Diamond, I love them so much. They're just so adorable. And Diamond, he's someone who's like so kind of slow-witted, but he's not stupid whatsoever. He is kind of, slow when it comes to like, getting like real world serious life stuff. He's kind of slow on things, but when it comes to battling, he is very serious. He's not dumb or at all about it. He comes up with these great battle strategies, and it's really just enjoyable. And then you have Pearl, who's like this kind of, he's really close to his game counterpart Barry. He's like really, really fast pace. He wants to get things done super, super fast. He's very impatient. So yeah, all those personalities are great. But anyway, back to Sun. I love him so much. He is just so adorable, and he has his own goal going on. In that, again, not trying to spoil anything, but he wants to make a lot of money for his own reasons. But he's not really selfish about it. He will stop to do anything, help other people if they need help. But he still wants his goal of getting money. And it's really funny because if someone wants help from him, he will always try to get money out of them. So it's really just funny in that way. Whereas Moon is more calm and serene, and she's really smart. She's the more intelligent one who's more focused on things. If someone's injured, she's like a doctor basically. And if someone's injured, she's trying to learn about medicine and different things like that. And she's more about helping people. And like I said, if you ask me, I think characters like Platinum and Moon are more of the main characters than Diamond or Elio, Sun. Because, again, well, that's the writer's explanation for that. And by the way, I think I kind of skipped that. Adventures is written and illustrated by Kusaka, and I'll put their names on screen. I'm probably blanking on their full names. I'll put them on screen just so you know who I'm talking about. But anyway, yeah, so there are many chapters where the girls get their important plot lines, and in my opinion, more than the boys. Like I said, I really think Moon leads the story of Sun and Moon, and Sun is kind of just going along for the ride, trying to get his money. Platinum, I think they easily made her the main character because they probably realized that Dawn was way more popular than Lucas, probably for the fact that she's in the anime. But anyway, long story short, I just wanted to point out how I just love the characterization of these characters, which again is great because they change them every single time. Unlike with Ash in the Pokemon anime, how they had to just constantly keep him interesting by changing up his character and personality. From OS to the original series up until Diamond and Pearl, I think he was pretty consistent and showed constant growth. Then that all went downhill with Black and White, where they tried to do this whole new beginning thing, and instead of just replacing Ash, then they just tried to act like he was just this brand new rookie trainer, didn't know what to do, didn't know how to battle, didn't know how to do anything, and had him getting made fun of. He was the underdog for the entirety of the series, even though he should have been the strongest he ever was if they were going to keep him around, which to me made no sense. Then they just did a total 180 in X and Y, where he was just this complete shonen protagonist out of nowhere. Then again, they switched him around in Sun and Moon, where he was just this fun-loving little kid again. And then in Journeys, he was different, and it was just so weird the way they just kept changing Ash over and over instead of just doing what I think made the most sense, which was changing the character. I will never understand it. I will never understand why they just couldn't replace Ash until now. Thank goodness they finally did it. I'm not saying I'm upset they did it. Better late than never, I say, but my gosh, why did it take 26 years? Why couldn't Ash be replaced in Johto? I don't understand it. I will never understand it, but I'm not going to harp on that because this video is about Adventures. But that is the main thing I like about Adventures, that it is more character-driven. And that goes into the second reason why I like Adventures more than I like the Pokemon anime, is that all the characters had a goal in mind, and the goal was attainable. It wasn't some ridiculous Pokemon Master goal, who even knows what the heck that is. It was something that we could understand. Red just wanted to be really strong, and he wanted to beat all the gym leaders for his own reasons. We have Sun, who, like I said, wants to get a lot of money. We have Ruby, who wanted to get every single Pokemon contest ribbon, and Sapphire, who wanted to get every single gym battle, and they both wanted to get it done before the other person. Diamond was trying to learn more about these unexplainable mysteries with Sinnoh and get all the gym badges and even the frontier symbols. All of them have their own goal. Every single one of them. Crystal wants to catch all the Pokemon. She wants to complete the Pokédex. She's just her thing is just catching Pokemon. Every single one of them. They all have their own goals and aspirations. Black, who wants to become the strongest trainer and beat the Pokemon League. White, who wanted to be this amazing actress. All of them had different things they were doing. Y is a sky trainer. Every single one of them has different things that they are doing, and is again so much more interesting because all of these goals that I mentioned are, even if they're not, even if they don't end up attaining the goal is attainable. It's something that they can realistically reach, even if they don't, actually do it. I'm not saying every single one of these protagonists is going to achieve their dream by the end of it. What I am saying, though, is that their dream is something that they can attain, and they will end up getting something by the end of it. It's not like someone's going to say, oh, I want to be the best this, and then they don't get it. They're going to have something that they do attain to, but even if they don't exactly get what they wanted, they will still achieve something in the end, and I enjoy that. I like knowing that at least by the end of the story, something will get out of it. I will come away saying that they are different from when they started versus when they finished, at least for the most characters. Now, I'm not going to sit here and say that I love every single Pokemon Adventures character. That's not true at all. I'll tell you right now, I don't like Black or White for that matter. I really, not, the Gen 5 characters, I'm really just not a big fan of. At least the first two, I will admit, I didn't really finish reading Black and White because, again, the characters kind of bored me. And I didn't read Black and White 2. I need to get into reading that because I want to check it out. X and Y, again, I also wasn't the biggest fan of X, at least, because X's personality, he just seemed... I really think my issue with Black and X was that I found Black at least to be a bit too similar to Ash. And that he was, well, I guess he didn't want to be a Pokemon master, but he wanted to be the strongest and beat all the gyms. I just thought that was kind of boring. When we had so many interesting characters who wanted to do things like catch all the Pokemon and be Pokemon comedians and do all this other stuff, that we just had X, who was just this generic, I want to become the strongest trainer thing. I just thought that was kind of boring in comparison to everyone else. At least White wanted to become an actress, but even still, she was kind of just following behind Black. She wasn't really doing much of her own story until much, much later. Even Yellow, again, had her own story. Like, Yellow has this personality point that she does not like the idea of her Pokemon evolving. After her Rattata evolves into Eradicate, she gets very sad because she likes her Pokemon as they are and she doesn't want them to change. And then she has to, go through that on her journey. But again, it's just like this growth that happens with the characters that I like and enjoy. But again, I will admit that I don't like every single character. For my own reasons. Again, I don't want to spoil too much about the characters because I really hope you guys will become interested in Pokémon Adventures and check it out for yourself. But yes, I will admit that Adventures, I think, is better in that aspect of the characters. And on that note, I will say right now, Adventures is very, very much character-driven. The focus is very much on the human characters. The Pokemon are there, but they really, I will admit right now, if there is one thing that Adventures does kind of lack on, it's the Pokemon characters. I will say they don't really have too much personality going on. Don't get me wrong, they're not like these just empty, shells with no personality whatsoever. But I will say that they don't really get too much. If anything, the main characters' first Pokemon and their starters will be the ones getting the most attention. And I say main Pokemon, or first Pokemon and starters, because most of the Pokemon Adventures characters, their first Pokemon is not a traditional starter first partner Pokemon like Chimchar, Squirtle, Trico, all them. It'll be like Ruby. His first Pokemon are a Rose, a Poochyena, and a Skitty. And he gets a Mudkip later on from Professor Birch. Sapphire, her first Pokemon is an Aeron, and then she gets a Torchic from her dad, Birch. Pearl has his first Pokemon is a Chatot, and Diamonds is a Munchlax, and they get Chimchar and Turtwig later. Long story short, the traditional starters are not always their main first Pokemon. Some of them they are, but not always. So yeah, that's something to keep in mind. By the way, something I do want to mention is with Pokemon, even though they don't all have extreme notable personalities, one thing I do like about Adventures is that the main characters, most of them do nickname their Pokemon, which I really like. Some of them don't. Like, you always have one character who doesn't nickname their Pokemon, but at least two of them will. So, and all of their names usually follow some sort of theme. Like, Red's Pokemon are all based off the Pokemon's just part of their species name. Like, his Pikachu is named Pika, his Bulbasaur is named Soar, or his Venusaur now named Soar. He has an Aerodactyl named Arrow, etc., etc. But some of them have these, like, cool nickname themes. Like, they'll have, like, different suffixes. Like, Crystal, her Pokemon end with E, like 2 E's. Like, her, she has a, Hitmonchan named Monlee, which I think it's pretty funny because it's kind of confusing because you think of Hitmonlee, but its name is Monlee. I think it's supposed to be a reference to Bruce Lee, actually. But anyway, she has her Arcanine named Archie or Archie. Her Zatu's named Zati. All of them have the same, like, nickname. Gold has the suffix Bo. So he has his, Typhlosion named Expo, which I'm pretty sure comes from its Japanese name. But it's Expo. I think in the English version they just say his Cyndaquil's back is really explosive with the fire, so he calls him Expo. He has a Sudowoodo named Sudowoo. He has an Apom named Abo, so on and so forth. So yeah, I like that they all give their nicknames. Again, something I didn't like that the Pokemon anime never did was give their Pokemon, the main characters never gave them nicknames until, like, really Sun and Moon. And even then it was only, like, a couple of them. Snowy had a nickname from Lily, and then Lana had her Eevee with a nickname, Sandy. But for some reason, Lana had a Primarina she did not nickname, which I don't get why she only nicknamed the Eevee, like, 100 episodes later, but whatever. Long story short, they did nickname them, which I liked. I've always wanted to see that, but they just never did that in the anime. But thankfully, in Pokemon Adventures, pretty much all the characters do give their Pokemon nicknames. But it's not all of them, of course. Like, and it's not always, like, originally I think it was, like, the rivals would not nickname them, but the other characters would. But now, rivals will give them nicknames, like Pearl and Diamond nickname their Pokemon, but Platinum doesn't. So yeah, it just depends. Black had this interesting nickname thing where he nicknamed the Pokemon based off of their final evolutionary stage as opposed to their base stage. The only exception being his Tepig, because his Tepig kind of got emotional about it and was thinking, oh, you don't think I'm strong as I am now, you just want me to evolve. And so he changed Tep's nickname as he evolved. His name was Tep, then Knight, then Bo. So yeah, that's what I like. But yeah, I went on this whole long tangent where I was basically talking about how the Pokemon don't really have too much personality. I just mentioned Tep, he had his personality going on, but I will admit that a lot of the Pokemon on the main characters' teams don't have too much personality, which I don't really mind that all too much, but I know there are some people who will really dislike that. I know a lot of people who watch Pokemon mainly for the Pokemon's personalities, and you might not like that a lot of the Pokemon don't really get too much personality shown off. So yeah, and I will admit Pokemon captures are really kind of simplified in Adventures. They aren't really like this big thing, though, even though I think early on in the anime, captures weren't the biggest thing. Like, you'd have a capture happen randomly in an episode that you wouldn't even expect a capture to happen, whereas nowadays, or at least when I was watching, X and Y, they'd make a big deal about captures. It would like take a full episode, like Ash taking a full episode to bond with and catch Hawlucha, and Serena having to take a whole episode to bond with and catch Eevee. That's really common in the anime. Adventures, not so much. They really kind of make captures kind of randomly, at least in the beginning they did. Nowadays, I think they put a bit more focus on the captures, but even still, some of them are kind of like really quick, blink and you miss it, or they're just given a Pokemon from a gym leader and there's like, here's this Pokemon, take it. And you're like, okay. So yeah, they don't get too much personality all the time, but it's not all the same. Like, I think Sun's Pokemon got a lot of personality with their captures, but usually after the capture happens, you don't see too much of that personality anymore. So yeah, that's kind of a thing. Pearl's Chimchar had an interesting personality in that he was kind of ticklish, like when he touched grass or leaves early on, but it kind of faded out pretty quickly. But yeah, I'm not gonna say that just, again, totally empty personality lists, just, beings. They have some personality here and there, but it's not the main focus. Again, the characters, the humans, are really, really the main focus. And by the way, the main human protagonist characters are called the Pokédex holders, because Pokédexes are really rare in Adventures, and only these really special trainers usually get them. So they are nicknamed the Pokédex holders, and they have their own also separate special nicknames, which I'm not going to list off here because, one, again, I'm trying to avoid spoilers, because it kind of relates to their personalities and their roles. And again, I just can't remember them all off the top of my head, so yeah, there's that. But yeah, those are the really biggest things I liked about Pokemon Adventures. Again, I really don't want to spoil too much, but those are the biggest things I really like about Pokemon Adventures, that I think, again, unlike the anime, I think we just follow more serious plots. And that's another thing I want to talk about. They really do give the game stories, I think, justice. With the Pokemon games, they can only do so much, because they have to develop the game, they have to get the game out before a certain time, and the game just can't last, hundreds of hours. The game has to have an end point. Of course, stories are getting longer and longer and more detailed now, but they do still have a limit. So again, the anime does sometimes take the time to put more depth and time into these stories because they have time to do it. But I think the issue with the anime is that they kind of have to draw out the story, 3 years for every new generation, which the manga does too. But the anime, they have, basically, the issue with the anime is that they have a new episode every single week for the most part. Aside from a couple of series they'll have breaks for holidays and so on and so forth. They really have an episode every single week. So they have to pad out the time with fillers. Whereas the Pokemon Adventures manga, it only comes out once a month. So you'll get a new series of chapters every single month. And they have less time to work with. So they really kind of have to get going with the series. They can't sit around and wait and take ages and ages and ages to get through the story. They have to really keep it going. So that's why I think the stories get more serious development, and we don't have to pad out time with fillers. And they can get right into developing things that maybe didn't get enough time in the games. Like with Sword and Shield, I think the biggest issue we can all agree on is that Rose was really kind of pushed to the side until the very end. The manga series gave more time to develop him, and they gave more time to focus on him. So that's really nice to see. And that's why another reason why I like the Adventures. And also another reason why I like Adventures is because there's pretty much no filler, because they're on their set time limit and they only get a month to go through a certain amount of chapters. You might get 20 or so chapters, or rounds rather, in each chapter, in each volume, each book release. They don't have time to waste, and they don't have filler. In all of my years reading the Adventures manga, I can think of maybe two rounds within chapters that I would call filler. One in early Red and Blue, and one in early Gold and Silver. And that's about it. Everything else, there's pretty much no filler, which again is pretty good. So those are the big things I would say are what I like about Pokemon Adventures. Good stories, good characters changing every new generation. Being able to, if you don't like a character, well, you can just skip that chapter and read another chapter of a character you might like. And there's not too much super extreme continuity that you need to worry about. They will reference prior chapters and later ones, but it's not really anything too big that you need to worry about. So don't get too scared if you don't have interest in a particular volume and skip the chapter entirely. That's fine. You don't have to read the entirety of it. Normally, it's not going to be a big deal if you skip it or not. So that's really a good thing. I like that the characters have the goals that are obtainable. Even if they don't attain them by the end, they're at least within reach, and we can understand these goals. The characters all have different personalities. You will see girls in the spotlight way sooner than we've started seeing with Liko. Like I mentioned, Yellow had her own chapter focused on her for a long time. Crystal took the spotlight over Gold and Silver for a long time. Platinum, I would say, is the main character for Diamond, Pearl, and Platinum. Sun, I'd say, is the main character over Sun and Moon, over Sun and Sun and Moon, so on and so forth. So yeah, that's really great. Sapphire is of equal importance to Ruby. So yeah, all that's really great. I really like all that. I definitely recommend you guys check out Adventures if you want to. Oh, by the way, I will note something important. You're probably going to hear people say that, oh my gosh, Adventures is so edgy. They have all this blood and gore and all these mature adult topics. That is not true at all, guys. People love to over-exaggerate Adventures, and I have no idea why. Because there are so many more, teenager-based, more mature Pokemon manga out there. I don't know why they try to make Adventures their point for bloody, gory manga. It is not that way at all. Yes, they will sometimes show blood. Yes, they will sometimes show, more adult, well, I won't say adult, I'll say older teenager material. Showing, risque outfits for certain characters. And, they will show some violent scenes like severe injuries and bruises. I'm sure you guys have probably all seen on the internet some image of an Arbok being sliced in half, and they use that as the base point for everything to do with Adventures. That is not true at all, guys. I will tell you right now. It's nowhere near as bloody and gory as people will say, especially the international versions. You might see some of that if you can get a hold of the actual Japanese pages. But almost everything super extreme will be edited out in the international versions. You're not going to see nearly as much blood. You're not going to see nearly as much severe injury. I don't know why, again, they like to hype up Adventures. Again, I think it's because of that early, war of adventure between the anime and the anime is so childlike, it's for kids. Well, no kidding, of course it's for kids. The game is for kids. The entire Pokemon series is directed towards kids primarily, but it's for all ages. Anyone can play Pokemon and enjoy it. It doesn't have to be, it's just child friendly. You can't be, it's not like a child is gonna have a problem with anything you see in Adventures or the anime or the games for that matter. But yeah, there are some more, I guess, mature moments, but there are far few in between. It is primarily very tame, and you're not going to see too much horrific content. So if that's something that bothered you or you were scared of thinking about reading Adventures, don't worry. Adventures is nowhere near as bloody and gory as people like to pretend it is. I don't know why people hype it up like that, but don't worry about that. And any blood and gore will be edited out in international versions. So there you go. So that's all for this video. Again, it was just another, typical Sakura rambly video with no real point, where I go off on several tangents and don't finish my main point. Yeah, I always do that. But I just wanted to talk about Pokemon Adventures. This is video, again, I'm so late with doing this, so I just really wanted to get a video out for you guys. I hope the audio isn't too weird here. It's kind of, just another video where I'm recording in my car, and it's kind of raining out, so hopefully it's not too noisy, you can't really hear too much. But overall, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you are someone who was interested in Adventures and you didn't know if you wanted to check it out, I definitely recommend it. I can give it the seal of approval for myself, at least for certain chapters. I will admit, like I said, I haven't finished every single chapter saga. I really need to. But for the vast majority of it, I will recommend it. I think it's really great. So, thank you all so much for watching this video, and I will see you all next time. Thank you!